What's going on YouTube? Now, a lot of you guys have been asking us to review the X5 for a long time now, and we're happy to finally be able to deliver that to you guys with this latest 2020 version. Now, of course, the X6, that's the new kid on the block this year, but most of you guys still prefer the X5 for its nice mixture of styling and also being very functional. Now, as always, we do want to especially thank our friends at Jacobs BMW in Lexington for giving us access to this X5. And if you're in the market for any new BMW, make sure you stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with that all said, let's see if this X5 is the ultimate driving crossover. Now, getting this video started with your front design, of course you're going to find the signature BMW kidney grille. On the X5, it's large, but not quite as large as what you find on that X7. Now, what we have is the X line, so there's a little bit of differences when you go for the M Sport model down here in the lower fascia, and on that model you can also get the extended shadow line trim, which will black out the entire face. Now, as far as your headlights, these are standard LED adaptive headlights. This is the regular version. However, you can get some laser headlights if you want kind of a fancier looking arrangement. And then you will also find standard fog lights on every single model. And coming down here to your wheels, in typical BMW fashion, there's too many for me to even explain. Just know that both models, or both design groups, they come standard with 19-inch alloy wheels, and then you have a series of optional wheels for both design groups at 20 inches, 21 inches, and 22 inches, ranging from silver to fully blacked out. And as far as your mirrors are concerned, BMW keeps it nice and simple, fully loaded across the board, so you've got auto dimming, power folding, heating, and blind spot monitoring.
So before we get to the rear of the X5, I do want to point out some M Sport differences in terms of the side styling. So you will notice on this X-Line model that we do have black moldings on all of the bumpers to make it look rugged, but if you're not a fan of that, go for the M Sport, since this does make it body colored all throughout the entire design. And it will also change the silver pieces out in the window moldings as well as the roof rails out for a black design. Now, actually heading around to the rear, you will notice that it's a very handsome looking rear design, especially for an SUV. And as far as the actual feature set goes, we do have standard full LED taillights as well as dual exhaust pipes in the bumper. Now, on the safety front, in addition to the blind spot monitoring that's standard, you also have forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection. Now, if you want a lot of the advanced safety systems, you will have to go for the Driving Assistance Professional package, and that includes lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, evasive assist, and a semi-autonomous traffic jam assistant that has automatic lane changing. Well guys, that sums up all of the exterior features of this 2020 X5, so now let's go ahead and hop in the cabin and see all the luxury features in there.
So heading into the inside of this 2020 X5, you will find one change, and that is that BMW Smart Entry System is now standard across the board for 2020. Other than that, you're looking at the same typical BMW key fob. You also will have remote start if you go for the premium package or above. Of course, to get inside the vehicle itself, there is a sensor behind the handle, so all you have to do is just grab it, and when you do, your mirrors will electrically fold out. Alright, so checking out the cabin of this X5, as you can see, this does have a beautiful cabin with the most modern BMW design language. Now, going into your interior material and color options, of course there are a ton of them since this is a BMW after all. So what you'll be looking at as the standard option is going to be Sensatec Leatherette, and that will come in black or beige options. However, you can upgrade to real Vernasca leather, which is what we have for $1,450, and that comes in some more colors. You have black, Canberra beige, ivory, coffee, and cognac colors. Furthermore, there is the extended merino leather package, and that comes in basically the same colors, but you do have some more expressive options like the white and blue option. And then as far as your wood trims, I'm not going to name them all off because there are 8 of them. However, this model here has the beautiful brown poplar wood. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is nicely appointed. Of course, you have leather covering pretty much every aspect of it. Armrest above that, as well as along the top. 2-person memory seating is standard equipment on all the models. And of course, you do have 4 fully automatic windows. As far as the seats, you will always get 16-way power adjusting seats on the standard models. However, this particular model has the multi-contour seats, which brings the adjustments up to 20 ways and also throws in massaging abilities. Like I was saying, this is the real Vernasca leather. Of course, it is beautiful, feels very nice, and you have a really nice stitching design as well. Now this is our first time reviewing the X5, and I have to say I am very impressed that the cabin materials are basically unchanged from the flagship X7. So across your upper dashboard, it is entirely covered in leather, and you do have a nice double stitching detail. Coming down to the middle areas, you have some of this beautiful open pore wood, which does continue down here to the entire center tunnel area as well. You also notice some more leather through here where your knees will touch. And of course, the build quality in here is absolutely seamless. Now to start up the X5, the button is down here. So you just put your foot on the brake and press to go. Now what you'll notice here when you first start it up is BMW's signature Live Cockpit Professional 12.3-inch fully reconfigurable gauge cluster. As you can see, it is extremely vivid, and you can change the design, of course, just like on all reconfigurable displays. You also might notice this little thing right here at the top that's flashing. That is just an effect of the camera. It doesn't actually do that in real life as far as the flashing, but it is monitoring if you're paying attention or not when you're using the driving assistance features. And you will also notice that there is a head-up display. It is 7 inches and it's included in the premium package. Now coming back to the steering wheel, of course you do have electric power assisted steering, and you've got the latest BMW design. Now this would change. If you go for the M Sport, you have the more aggressive M steering wheel, but otherwise you will notice they're both leather covered, even on the airbag. As far as the wheel itself, it is power adjusting across the board. However, if you want heating, you're going to have to add that on as an option, and that does also throw in heated armrest as well. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about your interior storage. Now we'll go ahead and start off with the center console here, and as you can see, when this opens up, you do have plenty of space. It is quite deep. You do have a rubber lining down the bottom, illumination, as well as a USB Type-C port. And then up in the front here, you have some more storage. You just press that and it will slide back. And then you'll find your 2 cup holders, a traditional USB 12-volt outlet. You have a little area right here, and additionally you will find a standard phone charging pad right here. Of course, as far as your shifter, you do have the typical BMW electronic shifter, which does operate pretty simply. All you have to do is press down the unlock there and pull back for drive. Then you can bump over here to the left to shift manually from this, or also from the standard paddle shifters. And then for reverse, you just bump all the way up to the top, and when you do, you will find this 360-degree camera system pop up. So long as you have the parking assistance package. As you can see, obviously you have both your traditional view as well as your overhead 360-degree view, but this camera system does also have an additional really cool trick. When you bump over with the toggle there and click on 3D view, It puts you in basically this really cool bird's eye view where you can see all around the vehicle. Really neat stuff. Definitely one of the best camera systems in the business. And then for park, all you have to do is just press the P, and right behind it you will find your electronic parking brake. Okay, so our next stop up the dashboard here is at our audio systems. Now there's 3 different options for this vehicle, and we have the middle one, which is the optional Harman Kardon sound system. Has 360 watts and 12 speakers. So let's go ahead and take a sample of that. Sound quality of this system is definitely excellent. However, I will mention that there is an optional Bowers & Wilkins sound system that's above this one, and that one has 1500 watts and 20 speakers. Alright, so right through this area right here, we have our climate controls. Now standard on the X5 is a dual zone automatic setup. However, most of the models, so long as you have the convenience tier or above, that's where you'll get the quad zone automatic climate controls. So as you can see, adjustment right here is very simple. You just have this little display right here. And then additionally, we'll have 3-stage seat heating. This is standard equipment, but seat ventilation is optional. Alright, so now that brings us up here to our BMW iDrive 7.0. This is the newest setup, and it is paired with a standard 12.3-inch display. Now I'll just run through some of the basic stuff because this is a very complicated system, but as always we do have a dedicated tech help video if you want to learn more about the system. So one of the big things about this system is that you can control it in several different ways. So you can control it via gesture control, the controller knob, voice commands, or this is also a touch display. So of course you do have a home screen where you can swipe through different things, and you can reconfigure these to say whatever you want to. They're basically like widgets on an Android tablet. And then you have some shortcuts along the side here. Now every X5 does have standard navigation. As you can see, it is very responsive, and you do have some satellite imagery as well. And in addition to that, you will also have Apple CarPlay, and it is wireless Apple CarPlay. And newly announced that BMW will no longer be charging a subscription for that service after that trial period is ended. Now moving on up here, of course you do have a standard auto dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes. And one of the other really nice features of the X5 is that you have a panoramic moonroof, standard across every single trim. And as you can see, it is extremely large. It goes all the way back to behind the second row's headrest there. And obviously the front portion does open up. Alrighty, so that is going to conclude everything to look at in the front areas of this X5's cabin. So now I'll go ahead and hand it off to my brother Mason, who will check out all the back stuff.
Alright, so hopping in the X5's rear seat, I have to say I'm very impressed. It feels like a very luxurious space back here. And as far as the features are concerned, BMW has thrown in a lot of features back here as standard equipment. So here in the center area, you will notice that you do have vents up top. They are also here on the B-pillar as well. And each rear passenger back here will have their own zone of climate, so you can adjust each one, their temperature individually. And in addition to that, you do also have heated rear seats, which are a $350 option. And below that, you have a little storage, as well as a 12-volt power outlet. And BMW was also nice enough to include USB Type-Cs in the back of each seat back. And as far as the space is concerned, you are going to find 37 inches of rear legroom and 41 inches of rear headroom, which does place it a few inches shy of the Mercedes GLE, but that actually is a higher headroom figure, so it's kind of pros and cons there. And as far as sitting behind rear seating position, you're definitely not going to have any issues. I have about 5 to 6 inches of rear leg room, and my feet can easily slide up under the seat. And walking up to the tailgate, BMW was nice enough to include a power tailgate as standard equipment, and also the hands-free function, so you just wave your foot under the bumper to open it up. And one thing you will notice here is that you do have BMW's signature 2-part opening tailgate, which does make it a little bit usable for like tailgating and stuff. You have somewhere to sit. But as far as the actual storage is concerned, back here you have 34 cubic feet of space behind the second row seats, and that expands to 72 cubic feet of space. As far as how that compares to the new GLE, that is basically identical. And as far as how BMW finishes it back here, it is finished very nicely. You do have LED lighting, a nice carpeting, storage up under the floor, and a cargo cover. Now over here at the passenger seat, you do have the same 20 ways of adjustment as the driver with the massaging function, as well as 2-person memory seats. And in front of the passenger, you do have a quite large glove box. It goes back a good distance. It is nicely felt lined. And up top, we do have a sun visor with a very narrow little mirror, LED light, and it does also detach and extend. Well guys, that sums up all of the rear areas of this X5, so now let's go ahead and take it out on the road and see the real reason why you buy a BMW to start with.
Well, so here we are. This is the basic version of the X5, the 40i, and she's quick. She's really quick. This is the 3-liter twin turbo, 6-cylinder i6, you know, famous BMW engine, and you know, it's really nice in this application. Gets you moving. I believe the 0-60 was 5.3 seconds is what they've cited. Yeah. Feels every bit of that quick.
And what you're looking at is 335 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque in this base configuration. And what he was talking about with the basic engine is that, you know, there are several different options that you can go for that are higher end than this. So you do have the 50i, which is going to be the 4.4 liter twin turbo V8, and that's 456 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. So that's just honestly insane. And then of course you do have the X5M too. So there are a lot of different options depending on what you want. But honestly, for a basic setup, really, really impressive.
Right. This is not a super small SUV, but it moves as fast as, like, for instance, the Audi Q5 we were in, a much smaller SUV.
Now, some other things that I do want to talk about here is going to have to be your ride quality. You know, I'm going to be honest here, the Mercedes GLE, which is what this really goes head-to-head with, is, quite frankly, one of the smoothest cars that I've ever been in. And this X5, I have to say, it really goes, it's almost as good. I mean, it's probably, I would say, equivalent in terms of the GLE, in terms of ride quality. I mean, when you get up to speed here, it's still dead silent inside the cabin, and it also is it just soaks up the bumps. As you'll see throughout this test drive, you know, if you hit a bump, it really will not transfer into the cabin, and you can't really hear it either.
Right, and we're familiar with this area, what we were just on. I don't know what they call that, where they put the rubber in the roads and makes it have a lot of vibration. Basically nothing here. Now our auto start-stop system has just engaged, so when we take off here, we'll see how quickly it restarts. Very quick, very smooth. She's too quick. It catches up with all these slow pokes up the verge ramp really fast.
a few things that I do want to talk about that this particular model does not have is the optional adaptive damping. So for the M Sport, you have the dynamic system that can kind of, tailor it, I guess, to make it like this when you just want it to be comfortable, but also sporty when you need it to be sporty. We don't have that. We don't have the M Sport. There's another thing is active steering. We also do not have that, which is the rear wheel steering.
Now this is a BMW after all, even if it is a comfort-oriented BMW, so you gotta talk about steering. We're in the comfort mode, which is the default for the X5, and the steering, it's very light, but it is also very responsive and very quick to respond, as you can tell. It doesn't take much at all to make movement. Now we will try out some of the other drive modes, for instance the sport mode at the top there. And we'll see how that changes things. Oh yeah, definitely a big difference. You can tell right off the bat with the steering. Really firms it up nicely. Not overly firm, but a pleasant firmness. And of course, it's still just as fast. Throttle response, of course, is also amplified. I have to say though, it really lives up to the BMW motto of being like an ultimate driving machine, in the sense that even though this is comfort oriented, it's still actually fun just kind of driving around town with that engine and the nice exhaust note and good body control. Even just kind of cruising around town, I'm having fun while still being extremely comfortable.
And I don't know if we've mentioned it at this point or not, but we do have an 8-speed automatic transmission on all of the models. The reason we haven't mentioned it is because you just don't notice it.
It absolutely blends into the background so well, yeah. That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. There's a reason why we basically forgot to talk about it.
And unfortunately, our drive's coming to a conclusion here, so I will read you the fuel economy. So for the rear-wheel drive 40i, that's going to come in at 21 city, 26 highway, 23 combined. For the xDrive, which is what most of you will get, the xDrive 40i, that's going to be 20 city, 26 highway, 22 combined. And if you want that 50i model, that's going to go down 4 mpg combined to 18 combined.
But overall, I have to say, very impressed by this X5, both in the way it drives and as an overall package. Like I mentioned in the interior, really the most impressive part about it is having experienced the X7 prior to this being the flagship BMW model. There's not really much different about this X5. It really delivers the full BMW flagship experience in this 2-row configuration.
Alrighty, and as far as the prices are concerned for the X5, the 40i rear-wheel drive is going to start at $58,900. If you want all-wheel drive, that's going to be $61,200. And then if you want to go for that upgraded 50i with the big V8 engine, that's going to be a huge price increase to $76,150. Keep in mind there will be added equipment in that. And then you have the M50i xDrive, which is the top end one, and that's going to be $82,150 as a starting price. Now, as far as how this one is equipped, we do have quite a few options, as you would expect with a BMW. So we have the Tanzanite Blue 2 Metallic for $1,950. Coffee Vernasca Leather for $1,450. The Driver's Assistance Pro Package for $1,700. Parking Assistance Package $700. Premium Package $2,300. 20-inch wheels $600. M Sport Brakes $650. Front and rear heated seats $350. Heated front armrest $250. Multi-contour seats $750. Harman audio system for $875, and then we have the destination charge of $995 for a grand total for this one at $73,770, which is very competitive with this competition like the GLE, and you are really getting a lot for your money here. Well guys, that sums up this review of the 2020 BMW X5. We really appreciate you watching, and if you've made it this far, that hopefully means you enjoyed the video, so be sure to help us out by hitting that subscribe button down below, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.